Welcome back to PBC on FS1 here in Lancaster, California at the Pioneer Event Center as we get set for our co-feature in the heavyweight division. Let's take a look at our Corona, tail of the tape Corona, who invites you to find your beach. There you see the age difference as Gerald Washington is 4 years older. Similar, identical height and similar in reach, but slightly in the favor of the USC product. Ladies and gentlemen, here in Lancaster, California, the action continues. 10 rounds in the heavyweight division. Your referee in charge when the bell sounds is Ray Corona. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. He comes in wearing the black and the red. His professional record stands at 20 wins, 16 of those coming by way of knockout against one blemish. Joining us from Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Wes Nofire. And across the ring, his opponent fighting out of the blue corner. He comes in wearing the purple and the white. As a professional, his record stands at 18 wins, 12 of those coming by way of knockout against 2 losses and 1 bout even. Fighting out of Vallejo, California, he is the former title challenger, the gentleman, Gerald El Gallo Negro Washington. Looking to get back in the win column, Wes Nofire. This is his second time on PBC on FS1. The first time it didn't end so well, a loss at the end to Joey Abel. Nofire says he's going to get people to forget that performance, and Washington coming out strong. My goodness. Look at the aggression so far by Gerald Washington.
I like the fact that Washington is coming out strong like that. He needs to remind Nofire about that knockout loss that he had here on PBC as well. So even though it was 2 fights ago, he needs to remind him of that really quick.
I have never seen Gerald Washington start this strong in a fight in the first 27 seconds.
I've definitely never seen it in one of his professional bouts, although we did have some sparring in the last couple of weeks, and Gerald is doing exactly what he did in sparring. I think it has a lot to do with his trainer exchange and sticking his game plan.
He's training now under Shadid Saluki. Originally was under John Coleman, who we've seen many times in the corner, but Gerald Washington really trying to assert himself here in the fight. And also, Dominic, I would gather to say that he looks even bigger physically up top.
Yes, definitely. He's changed a little bit of things in his strength conditioning. His mental mindset is there. His confidence is back. Those 2 losses he's had in his career did put him down for a little bit, but he's had 11 months off, and he's ready to rock and roll.
And it's not like he was getting, when he fought Deontay Wilder in February of last year in Birmingham, it wasn't like he was getting steamrolled. He was doing well in the fight, but then he went ahead and got caught with that laser right hand that everyone's got caught with when it comes to Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, I think Gerald was doing a great job in that fight. I actually had him winning on the cards up until that right hand landed, and that usually changes the game in the heavyweight division. We can all punch, and as you can see here in this fight, heavyweights are going back and back, and only one punch changes everything.
And with Washington, he's coming off a loss at the hands of Jarrell Miller last July at Barclays Center, and he felt that after that matchup, he needed to change things up just for his mental psyche, even just to be able to correct that.
Well, sometimes you have to switch it up. I don't like fighters changing trainers so often, but I think him changing his trainer to Saluki was actually a really good thing. I know Saluki from LA. He's a smart trainer. He knows how to make fighters fight their type of style. So Gerald Washington. He's a tall fighter. He needs to fight behind that left jab, that right hook, but he's starting a little bit aggressive here. So that's a mental game that he's putting some mental pressure on Nofire.
Well, look, I'll tell you what, Gerald Washington keeps fighting like this aggressive. He's going to put plenty of George Washingtons in his pocket with performances because, my goodness, he started off strong, but Wes Nofire is still in the pocket.
Thank you for that, Ray. Appreciate it.
And here, Gerald Washington coming forward. He clips Nofire. And you know what? Credit to Nofire. He withstood that early barrage from Washington and his handling, and now he's asserted himself again.
Great job by Nofire. He's, Gerald did come out guns blazing, and Nofire put his foot in the ground and said, "Let's do this."
Action is picking up between Gerald Washington and Wes Nofire here in Southern California. You're watching PBC on FS1.
Gerald Washington is coming off back-to-back losses, and he told us he feels the pressure to get the victory tonight because it's the first fight to get him back on track, and he said he feels like a complete fighter now with new trainer Shadid Sulecki, and that they went old school. They've actually got a pretty cool saying, you guys. It goes like this: know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Dominic, you came off a loss, you know, and then you came back and got the victory over Izu Ugonu. So where does Gerald Washington have to dig from in order to come back tonight?
You know, I think Gerald's got to dig deep. It's one of the situations, there's nothing in training camp that can change it. It's more of a mental thing. You got to sit back and analyze your losses. We learn a lot from our losses and we move on from them. In this situation, Gerald's made some moves in trainer. He's made some moves in training camp. He's now training at the Watson's Gym in Van Nuys, California. And as of right now, it looks great.
They look solid and really started off strong in the first round, Dominic. But Wes Nofire went ahead. He stood his ground. He handled it. And now he's retaliating, throwing the right hand of his own.
Nofire's coming back strong. Even though Washington started strong, he didn't really land anything. He just put the mental pressure on him. But I think Nofire's coming back. He's showing that he's not going to go anywhere. He's a tough guy. You know, he blames that last loss that he had the flu and he strayed away from his game plan. For this fight, he wants to stay in his game plan. He wants to fight behind the jab, fight tall. And it's a rarity to have two guys that are 6'6" here. So whoever fights tall is going to actually land the better shots here.
And guys, with both fighters, both Nofire and Washington, they are athletes. Gerald Washington played at USC under Pete Carroll, whereas Nofire was a standout high school basketball player and was offered several scholarships from local schools in Oklahoma. Both guys got into boxing later in their lives and started off professionals later, but still they've been able to use their athleticism and they've been able to adapt that to quality pro careers.
You know what? The heavyweight division is the only division where a fighter can get a late start because you really just use the jab. You fight behind the jab. You're a big fighter. One punch can end it all. So with the heavyweight division, actually, you can get away with starting late.
I think you're completely right with that, Sergio. Heavyweights can start extremely late. I started at 23 years old, and everything in the heavyweight game is usually in the right hand. You set everything up with the jab and you finish it with the right. Let's not forget, guys, Gerald did serve in the Navy, so when he digs deep tonight, he's going to be digging deep with the military background for sure.
Well, we want to thank all those men and women that are serving or have served in our United States Armed Forces. We thank them for allowing us to have liberties like this to enjoy a quality night of action and entertainment with PBC on FS1. And Gerald Washington very proud of his background in the Navy.
Going back on the starting late for heavyweights, I really think it's important for people to realize that the reason they could start late is not only because they have that strength and that length and they have that hard 1-2 and they can end punches a night with one punch. It's also because heavyweights aren't really volume punchers. They sit back and they wait for that one shot, and one shot can end it all. A heavyweight with a good 1-2 can go far in this game.
Final moments of round two. Gerald Washington and Wes Nofire battling here in Lancaster, California.
Stop. Take a step back, both of you.
We'll come back with more of PBC on FS1.
Yeah, Gerald did a great job leading right hand there. He's doing a phenomenal job covering distance at the same time, keeping calm, composed, and big and long.
And credit for Nofire for taking that shot because that was a clean right hand by a big heavyweight by Washington.
Sergio, we saw Gerald start off strong in round one, like really just start off with, you know, very sharp and trying to overpower Nofire. Now he's settling back to the Gerald Washington that we are accustomed to seeing. Do you think there'll be times in a big right hand that connected by Nofire, but do you think that he will go back and try to pick up the pace again here in the fight?
Well, let's not get confused. He started fast as far as physically, but he didn't really land anything impressive as far as punches. He just really put the pressure, the mental pressure on Nofire, but he didn't really land or be effective. But that being said, yes, he put some pressure on him, but right now Nofire is the one actually doing well.
Nofire had Washington hurt. Washington had to tie up and was not having that right hand. Nofire landed a counter right hand, and then Washington was trying to tie up. It looked like he was buzzed, Dominic.
It did. Gerald was definitely hurt there early in the round. It looks like things are settling in now. I'd like to see a lot more defense out of Gerald as well as counters. Looks like he's kind of weathering the storm. He might still be hurt.
There's a change in confidence here, a change in momentum also, because I think Nofire, he realized that he did hurt Washington there. And the fighter knows when he has a fighter hurt, because one punch and all of a sudden you start seeing that the fighter wants to hold. He's not punching as much. He's breathing heavier. all these things are things that Washington has displayed.
Well, Nofire has given a very good account of himself as he was able to withstand that barrage early and now is trying to pick up the pace on check left hook by Gerald Washington. And now it is Washington who's going on the offensive. How the tide changes here in round 3.
Heavyweight boxing right here. I love the fact that Washington went upstairs and threw that right hand down at the gut, because when you have two huge middleweights, heavyweights like this, 6'6", if you're gonna bend down and throw a right hand to the body, that's impressive.
That's definitely something you don't see in the heavyweight game. Body work is something you don't see in the heavyweight game.
Gentlemen, what we've seen here in round 3, it's like knock'em sock'em robots, and neither guy has tasted the canvas just yet.
We got two prideful guys here. We got an ex-football athlete in Washington, and we got a proud man in Nofire here, who's very proud of his native background as well, and he thinks that his only loss was a fluke, and we went back on touching that there's no flukes in boxing, but he has a lot of reasons why he lost that fight, and he wants to have a good night and a good showing here against Washington.
Washington aiming to walk down Wes Nofire.
Good shot
Nofire
there.
throws a right hand. 2 right hands for Washington as he advances forward. Final stages of round 3.
I'll tell you what, Washington's showing a beard here too, because Nofire landed another clean right hand right there and he took it well. Both these guys have taken each other's punches pretty well to the chin.
Washington throwing that right hand more in abundance, but here is what has been his calling card since the beginning of his career, the jab. There is that stiff jab on Wes Nofire. We'll come back with more of PBC on FS1. Welcome back to PBC on FS1. There you see Gary Clark in the corner of Wes Nofire. There is Nofire's last 5 fights. There's that blemish almost over 2 years ago against Joey Abel. Came back in September of last year with the victory over Stacy Frazier. But prior to that point, Wes Nofire was undefeated. And Dominic, look, it's very rare where you find a guy that has an undefeated record nowadays. After coming back off that first defeat, how important is it for you to be able to get back in the ring very quickly after that first defeat of your career?
It's definitely important. Of course, you always want to go back to the drawing board, have a little time to digest what's going on in your career. But when you get back in the ring and you're letting leather fly again, there's nothing like it. You get your confidence back, and looks like that's what Gerald's doing. In this situation, I'm actually thinking Nofire is looking like he's a little winded. Gerald's staying calm and composed, hands are up, and that strong jab is working well.
Well, Nofire has not been past 6 rounds, but he has been a full 6 3 times in his professional career. So if this fight gets to the 7th and 8th, we are going to endeavor into foreign territory for Wes Nofire.
Well, anytime you get two huge guys like this, you're going to expect them to get winded a little faster than the smaller guys. But, that's when they got to go and fight smart behind the jab. You could tie up like this. Also, you could catch your breath in between. You got to be smart about not getting winded and showing it. You got to hide that tired.
Approaching 100 seconds here in round 4. Ray Corona separates the two combatants. Hey, don't forget to join us in the conversation on social media. Use the hashtag PBC on FS1. Big right hand by Washington. Use the hashtag PBC on FS1. Follow us at Premier Boxing. As Gerald Washington once again taking that jab, and that was a different jab. It almost looked like a hook, and it was right on the nose of Nofire.
And look, so heavyweights can win rounds just with a jab, and they can set up their opponents with that jab in their right hand. So there it is, the right hand right there. And then you tying up inside like that. Fight on the inside. Show the judges that you're the one that actually wants to fight. Push the fight. Win the round. Go to the next. Frustrate your opponent.
Yeah, Gerald's done a great job putting that jab downstairs, as well as using the up jab, as you were calling earlier. It almost looks like a hook and the jab at the same time. The up jab sets up real well for right hand.
Dominic, when it comes to heavyweights, with as powerful as you guys are, the jab almost can be a power punch because of your leverage and your weight and the velocity behind it.
Yeah, as a heavyweight, we'd love to use a jab. As a peppering stick, as a fighting stick, at the same time as a battering ram. If I can land a solid jab on you when the right hand comes, it's not me.
Not only that, but Nofire is vulnerable to a left hand, because the one loss on his record, he lost to a southpaw, and it was to straight left hands that he was getting hurt with. So even though Washington is not a southpaw, he can actually throw that left hand with the power of a straight left hand of a southpaw.
As we
Good shot there by Washington.
Big right hand that connected by Washington. Oh my goodness, Nofire trying to tie up, and an uppercut by Gerald Washington.
Nofire taking those shots well, because that's the third right hand that I've seen Washington land, and he tied him up. Nofire did the right thing.
Gerald Washington, the big right hand as Nofire took it, but he was hurt.
He took the shot well. I was impressed with Nofire. You know, Nofire has confidence. He has this swag. I mean, in his weigh-ins, he always has his sunglasses on. In the fighter meetings, he had this swag and confidence about him. He's no pushover here. I mean, he's very, very proud of his background, of his Native American background, and he's not going to lay down for anybody.
No question. In talking about his background, he is a Cherokee citizen. He's half Cherokee. He's born in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. So that is what you're alluding to, Sergio. He's a very proud man, and also he's a father, he's a husband, he has a family to provide for. So he's digging down deep, and Gerald Washington is certainly testing that well here tonight.
And he's coming back strong after taking those shots by Washington, too. And that just shows that he's not going anywhere. He wants to get in there and win these rounds as well, impose his will.
Nofire did definitely come into this fight to impress. He's sticking in there. He's taking some mean right hands, but like you're saying, Sergio, he has the chin for it, and he's standing there weathering the storm.
Now, Dominic, let me ask you something. How come these big guys don't go to the body as much?
You know, the heavyweight game, we're always head hunting. We're always trying to pop the jab and put the big right hand in there. But it's one thing that Riddick Bowe did way back in the day. He did a great job of fighting inside the elevator, body shot after body shot, and finishing up top. And I think if one of these individuals tonight, Nofire and Washington, decide to go to the body and finish up top, that could be the end of it.
That's what I'm seeing right here. I mean, these guys are throwing great headshots, but the body, I'm not saying it's wide open, but touch the body downstairs. Make him bring his elbows down, bring his arms down, then you can land that big headshot up there.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the reasons why I work with my trainer, Manny Robles. He works with a lot of lighter, smaller guys, and you know, in the Mexican community, body shots are everything.
I know Manny a long time, great trainer.
Manny Robles done a great job of having me work body shot after body shot and finishing up top. We all want to go head on, but the body controls the head.
Well, with Wes Nofire, and there is time being called. Wondering what Ray Corona sort of admonished Nofire for. He warned him, but I'm not clear onto what the infraction was. He did not deduct a point, but Corona said if you do it again, whatever it was, he will deduct a point.
Well, he must be seeing something in there. From what I'm seeing, I mean, these guys are fighting. They're a little bit sloppy. Maybe they're landing shots behind the head, I would say. I haven't really seen any infractions or anything illegal in there.
From what I'm watching and being in the heavyweight game, I did notice a little bit of excessive use of the shoulders as well as elbows on Nofire's behalf, but not to the point that you need to call attention to it, but we'll see.
So it could be the elbow, but nonetheless, it is not affecting Gerald Washington, who is looking impressive against Wes Nofire. But again, Wes Nofire is still in the fight and is lively. As we approach round number 6 here from Southern California. Back here, PBC on FS1. Gary Clark in the corner of Wes Nofire. And we'll go back and revisit some action from round 5.
Looks like Gerald's doing a great job with his jab. He's doubling it up and using it as a battering ram. Great job as a heavyweight.
And Nofire was blinking a lot. Guys, he pointed out off air that he may have been thumbed in the eye.
And that happens a lot in boxing. You get thumbed a lot, and you just gotta. That's another thing that you have to overcome when it happens. And sometimes you gotta practice that in the gym. You know, you gotta put an eye patch or something. My trainer did that one time. You put an eye patch on me. You know, you never know what to expect in the ring.
Well, if Wes Nofire and a big right hand to start off round 6 for Nofire,
Good
they
shot,
both exchange jabs. But Nofire was telling us that I belong at the top and that loss was a fluke. Well, if he truly does belong in the top 15, top 20 conversation of the heavyweight division, he needs to find a way to get a victory over Gerald Washington here this evening.
I mentioned earlier that Nofire has this confidence about him, this swag about him. He has all the right things to go right in his future in boxing as well. I mean, he had an ex-trainer in Ronnie Shields. He has now John David Jackson, the 2-division world champion. So he has the trainers in his corner. He has a confidence, obviously. With a big win here tonight on television, he can get an opportunity in an exciting heavyweight division. So he just needs to win now. He needs to put the punches together and do what he needs to do to win this fight.
but easier said than done, as we know, and Gerald Washington continues to use his jab, and Nofire coming forward, Washington tying up, wondering how long Ray Corona's going to allow them to fight out of the break.
Yeah, I think Bray's going to let them fight for a while. Gerald's got 2 free hands. He's working pretty well with the little uppercuts he's throwing and body shots. It's about time for him to put them together and maybe work some angles.
Also, I'm pretty sure that Ray, the referee, probably knows that when it comes to heavyweights, they tend to hold a lot because they punch and they grab. They punch, they clinch. They punch, they clinch. And that's normally how it is for heavyweights. They don't really fight in the inside as much as the smaller fighters, the lighter fighters.
And it takes quite a bit of bravado, even as a referee, guys, to step inside those two gentlemen. I mean, my goodness, the size that is now in the heavyweight division. Dominic, my goodness, my hat's off to you, because I would not want to get anywhere near you guys when you guys are punching at each other.
Yeah, Ray, you're definitely right on that one. I'm just glad I stand one of the bigger stature guys at 6'7", 250. Both these guys, man, I think they're standing at 6'6", about 232 or 234 and 242. Those are 2 extremely big heavyweights, but if we can get them to go to the body a little bit more, Ray wouldn't have to do such a hard job.
Well, Nofire landed a little sneaky right hand to the body when you were talking there, Dominic, and I'd like to see a couple more little body shots. It's sneaky little body shots that actually do the damage, especially when you're inside right there. Those little slaps when you're holding, those don't matter. It's the ones that are inside the gut. They're little sneaky ones, like 3-inch punches. Those are the ones that are very effective, especially when you're tired.
A nice right hand to the body by Washington, and Nofire didn't like that too much. He barrels into Washington.
I think Washington might have hurt us. Look, there he goes again.
Looks like Nofire's developed a little cut under his eye.
A left by Washington as we near the end of the 6th. Body work by Gerald Washington. You're watching PBC on FS1. Welcome back to PBC on FS1. Coming up Saturday night, Premier Boxing Champions on Showtime. Dallas native Errol Spence Jr. puts his title on the line against Carlos Ocampo. That'll be live on Showtime. And gentlemen, if Spence is successful in his homecoming against Carlos Ocampo, there is talk about a matchup with Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. I would love to see Errol Spence fight the winner of that matchup.
The welterweight division is one of the most exciting divisions, and Errol Spence is at the top of that list. Just exciting young man to watch, and he has all the goods going for him.
Errol Spence is doing a phenomenal job in his career. He's a great champion. This fight is coming up in Dallas. It's going to be one to look forward to, but I am definitely to the future.
Yeah, I like what I saw right there from Nofire. He finally threw that straight right hand to the body, to the gut right there, and Washington didn't like that body shot, and he didn't expect it either.
Nofire has never been past 6 rounds. This is his first time. We'll send it to the 4th member of our broadcast team. Here's Jordan Hardy.
Great, thank you. I was over in Gerald Washington's corner, and his trainer, Shadid Sulecki, is telling Gerald, hey, Wes Nofire's nose is busted up. So keep jabbing on his nose, keep touching him there, be first, keep your hands up, go to the body, finish up top, and we can win this fight. Ray?
Very much, Jordan. Excellent reporting in the corner by Jordan Harding, as both guys have tasted each other's power. Ray Corona calling time. So Ray Corona has deducted a point by Nofire for excessive holding.
That was probably the warning that he had earlier. So the holding, I have seen excessive holding, and usually that happens when you don't go past 6 rounds like Nofire. So he's probably feeling those punches and feeling the effects of being winded.
Yeah, this is definitely uncharted territories for Nofire. Being a heavyweight, standing across the ring from a guy just as big as you, just as strong, just as fast. This is very unfamiliar territory for Nofire.
Another unfamiliar thing is for another 6'6" fighter to face a 6'6" fighter.
Very true.
Nofire moving forward, tying up, and I wonder if he's going to be conscientious of holding or even being crafty and throwing punches like that and stepping away so that he doesn't get called for another infraction.
You know, usually sometimes a fighter, when he's tired, he wants to start wrestling with the other guy because he doesn't have the energy to punch right there. But wrestling takes it out of you. So I don't like wrestling with my opponents. I'd rather have the referee do his job and break up the wrestling, especially with these heavyweights right here. I mean, it takes a lot of energy from your arms and your lower back and your legs to be wrestling such a big man like this in front of you, like these heavyweights.
Well, the lactic acid, it builds up. I mean, my goodness, I mean, your muscles have to be so tired from not only throwing punches, but pushing a guy who's 250, 260 off of you.
Yeah, pushing a guy anywhere over 200 pounds off you is definitely very, very hard, especially across the ring. In a 7th-round heavyweight bout like this, that's the last thing you want to be thinking about, the last thing you want to be doing. The safe move is keep your guard up and look for the counter. These guys are definitely going to be wasting their energy if they're playing wrestle or tug of war.
That's something that I've always avoided doing is wrestling with my opponents. I sometimes let my opponents wrestle and manhandle me like that because they're the ones that are getting tired by doing that and using up energy. So I'll let them kind of have their way when it comes inside, throwing me around like that. But when it comes to like breaking up, then it's back to fighting and doing what we do.
Nearing the end of round 7 here in Lancaster.
Oh, good shot there, like Washington, right hand, timed it.
And that's the end of round 7. Fundamentals apparent in the game of Gerald Washington as he did as a member of the USC Trojans. Welcome back to PBC on FS1. There you see Gerald Washington with his new trainer who has looked solid here tonight. Dominic, how would you give an assessment or how would you assess Washington's performance thus far?
Gerald has changed some. He definitely is getting some good advice from Sidi there in the corner. He's did some things that I haven't seen him do before. The lead right hand looks real nice, and then when he gets tied up on the inside, he is actually throwing body shots as well as small little uppercuts. So I have seen a change in Gerald.
Now Gerald goes back to using his jab, and we talked about the fundamentals. It is the jab followed by the right hand, and look, fundamentals have been in Gerald Washington's life ever since he was a member with the USC Trojans. You don't start at defensive end for Pete Carroll by being just erratic. He had solid fundamentals as a football player, and it has translated to his career here in boxing.
Well, Washington is definitely athletic, and he's showing that, but so is Nofire. Nofire is he's impressed me with the way he's taking those shots to the head. He's not standing in front of Washington. He's doing the right things. He's not discouraged. He's still in this fight.
I think in boxing, fundamentals are everything. Gerald's done a great job of staying with the 1-2, staying with the jab. He's moving well. He looks light on his feet. No discouragement to Nofire. Nofire's done some phenomenal things. He actually has taken some great shots. He's got one hell of a chin, and he's pumping the jab now. He looks like he came alive a little bit.
The one thing I would like to see Nofire do is move his head a little bit more. Move his head a little bit more. Give Washington a slippery target. Not be so stationary.
When Washington has given up a little bit of ground during the course of the fight to Nofire because Nofire has been more aggressive. I wonder where is he going to continue and find a way to be ultra aggressive here at the end of the 8th into the 9th round. He's a father of 2. He mentioned to us that his biggest strengths are his speed and his movement, but he hasn't really shown too much of that tonight, guys.
Well, he's never been past the 6th round, like you mentioned earlier, Ray. So maybe Nofire's suffering a little bit here, right? Because he's a big guy. He has to carry all that weight. He's never been past the 6th round, so it's new territory for him.
And Nofire does look like he has a little bit of a wind going to him. His legs do look a little heavy, and he's hanging on to Gerald a little bit more than I like to see.
When he has a little bit of a laceration underneath that right eye, very good job by our crew to be able to go and observe that. So a mouse, it seems to be of a little bit of a cut. It's not bleeding outside of his right eye. So Gerald Washington, his work rate is starting to show in the face of Wes Nofire.
Nofire looks tired. And he already got a point taken away from him for holding, so he needs to be careful in there because when he's tired, you tend to hold more.
And Ray Corona separates them as we near the conclusion of round 8.
And sometimes it's just instinct to hold because you're so tired and you're out of breath that you can't punch right now, especially when you're that big. The first instinct is to hold sometimes.
It's definitely one of those situations you can't take the round off. These guys are throwing leather out there.
2 more rounds remaining here from Lancaster. Welcome back to PBC on FS1. Prior to us coming back, the corner of Wes Nofire told him you need to win these next 2 rounds. So there is certainly a sense of urgency in the corner of Nofire.
There's a sense of urgency in both corners. Washington may be winning this fight, but still his trainers are letting him have it, saying you need to pick up these last 2 rounds.
Yep, both heavyweights look like they look to be a little winded. We are going for the 9th round here. This is definitely uncharted territory for heavyweights in general. Usually when the leather starts flying, things get ended early. This has been one tough boxing match. Two big guys going toe-to-toe.
Right there, Washington showed some athleticism. He threw the 1-2, he fell off balance, and he came back with another one right there.
A nice right hand to the body by Washington.
This is where I'd like to see Gerald work a little bit on the inside with Wes Nofire's busy tying up.
Dominic, for Gerald to really show that he's back and he has turned over a new leaf, for him to get a stoppage over Wes Nofire, I think would certainly make a definitive statement.
Yeah, for either one of these guys got a stoppage tonight. Would have been great. We put him back on the map. Gerald's, like I said earlier, he's doing some great things. He's showing some great fundamental boxing skills, but there's nothing like a KO.
No question. This is just the battle of wills right now, guys. You can tell that Washington and Nofire are tired. They're digging down deep, and they're fighting in spurts, but they both do have the power to hurt one another, as has been shown earlier in the fight.
Nofire's still confident. He's still confident. He winked at us right now. Even though he looks tired, he still has that swag going for him. Both are big men. It's hard to expect these guys to fight like lightweights and throw a bunch of combinations. But if you can fight behind that smart jab, you can win rounds with that jab and let your opponent get frustrated to want to do something and counter that jab. You can win a round with just a hard, smart jab.
And don't forget, coming up our main event, Travis Kaufman back inside the ring against Scott Alexander. That is coming up our main event of PBC on FS1. And there is a right hand on the inside by Wes Nofire as Washington hammered away on the body. Under a minute left here in round 9.
I think there's definitely a situation where Gerald Washington needs to dig deep and pull something out of his hat and come something with a combination of punches, maybe 4s and 5s. He did state in the fighter meetings that he wanted to impress the fans, and right now's the time to do it.
Also, Nofire, right now when he's tired, when he's missing punches, that also takes it out of your legs. So if you're already tired and you miss a shot, it's only going to make a fighter more tired, especially when you're as big as he is.
The corner of Wes Nofire wanting a lead hook. That is what they are asking him for. But Washington tying up and really targeting the body of Nofire.
Stop. Take a step back. West, get back to your jab.
Breathing heavy, Nofire breathing heavy right there.
Gerald's being real effective with that right hand of the body. It's he's sneaking behind the elbow as well as lining up into the solar plex. I think if he continues to do so and finish up with a hook, he might get it.
See how Nofire threw two jabs right there and fell off balance. That's a sign of him being tired.
Round 10. This is the 10th and final round between Gerald Washington and Wes Nofire. As Washington with the new trainer, Wes Nofire. Second time, big right hand for Washington to start off the 10th.
Washington going for the knockout right there, running some clean right hands and left hands, jabs. It'd be great if he can get that 10th round stoppage.
Well, we mentioned how this would be a big statement for Gallo Negro if he's able to halt Wes Nofire.
This is where you want to see a guy like Gerald, a veteran fighter, sit back and relax and find his shots, pick his shots well, set him up. He's got his guy hurt, he's got his guy coming forward. Now time to close the show.
But Nofire showing that bravado and coming forward. Washington aiming to keep his distance and send the jab out by the right hand.
Good shot there by Washington with a short right hand right there. It was a long left jab and he followed it up with a short little right hand. Those do damage. I like to see Washington double up that jab and then do the same thing with the right hand.
Washington started strong, and it looks like he has found a way to end strong as well.
Also, it'd be great if it just dig down to the body a little bit. I know I've been saying that the entire time, but right now when these guys are so tired, they're not expecting those gut shots right now, especially in the 10th round.
Sergio, I'm definitely with you. I would love to see Gerald lead with that right hand instead of upstairs, but downstairs with the body and finish up with a hook. I think both fighters are going through their checklist right now. They're making sure they did all their road work and they did all their swimming laps and strength conditioning. That stuff plays a big role in the 10th round.
And this is when you feel it. You realize, like, man, I should have did an extra lap. I should have ran an extra mile because look at how tired both these guys are. But Washington is fighting better as a tired fighter, as a fatigued fighter. And sometimes we all get tired, but you got to hide it, especially if you're a professional fighter, a professional athlete. You got to know how to man up and hide your fatigue.
And guys, for Nofire, his corner has been imploring him, look, you need to win these final 2 rounds. Are you surprised that he isn't being as aggressive? I know he was buzzed early in the round, but he isn't pushing the pace more.
Well, it's hard to be aggressive when you're exhausted. It's hard to do anything when you're exhausted. Fatigue makes cowards of us all, Ray. And right now, I'm not saying that Nofire is showing cowardice, but he's tired. He can't really impose his will.
Nofire is definitely tired, but I think Gerald was saying yesterday in the fighter meetings that you can't fight everybody the same. And,
good shot there.
2 big right hands by Washington.
In the past, he's never come out like this in the 10th round, nor in the later rounds, and Gerald's done a great job tonight.
I like this new aggression out of Gerald Washington. We are seeing him showcase that he's a terrific athlete. Now he's jumping all over. He wants to jump all over Wes Nofire.
Well, he started from the first round. He set the tone. He started aggressive, and he wants to end it aggressive. He has 14 seconds right now to get the stoppage, which I'm pretty sure he's not going to get, but he could still land another big shot and possibly even knock him down.
Washington's almost running at him like he's a running back, for crying out loud. As Nofire barrels into him and hits the deck, no knockdown.
He's exhausted.
He literally ends the fight on his knees and rises to his feet. Wow. What an effort by Washington and Nofire. Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance, we go to the scorecards. Here are your score totals. Judge at ringside, Ralph McKnight has the contest 98-91, and Fernando Villarreal and Sergio Caiz see about 97-92, all for your winner by unanimous decision, the gentleman, Gerald El Gallo Negro Washington. So Gerald Washington picks up his 19th victory, and guys, underneath his new trainer, Shadid Saluki, I thought he looked more aggressive and went out and was able to do that in the beginning and the end of the fight.